Thank you, Allison, for having me, and thank you, everyone, for the wonderful talks we heard this morning and the whole day, actually. I'm excited to be here because I want to talk a little bit more about, let's say, social justice and how that turns me, and how that I took the whole topic of space to bring that as an example, really an example to the COP28 last year. So in 2022, and I'm going to start with the problem, and I'm going to talk about why it affected me so much. There was 33 million people that were affected by floods in Pakistan, and it's the 5th most populous country. And this country actually only is responsible for 1% of the global carbon emissions in the world. And it's one of the most climate vulnerable countries. All of a sudden, I found that there is like way more countries that are emitting way less, but are actually being the biggest and most vulnerable countries for climate change. Kiribati, for example, is another island that is actually known to disappear in the next few years if we don't take care of our planet Earth. So what I think about all the time is how do we help or use space to help life on Earth. And so eventually we came up with this idea, and this is not a new idea. The entire UN thinks about the whole aspect of losses and damages, and they divide it by a track which is below the climate adaptation. And losses and damages really are when there is a loss or damage that happens due to a climate event somewhere in the world. Someone else is actually responsible for doing it, but how do you make this whole system transparent, and how do you mobilize the funds from the global north to the global south? And we all came up by using these ideas of this whole mobilizing funds from the north to the south to work towards building a whole loss and damage atlas. And how we really do it is by measuring or looking at data. And when I was busy doing my activism, a lot of people told me that if I don't have the data, it's just an opinion. And if I'm not able to measure it, then it's not done. So we started to map out human settlements in areas in different places in the world. We monitored the environmental changes, agriculture, and we actually put a dollar loss to every house that was lost in different areas that were under climate vulnerability. And I'm going to show you how we did that. As Planet, we're a public benefit company, so our mission is actually to use space to help life on Earth. We image the Earth every single day of every single place, and these images become accessible and actually become actionable. Hopefully this video works. It worked before.
Today, the countries that contribute the least to climate change are bearing the burden of its impacts, from severe disasters to forced climate migration. But with digital tools and satellite data, these countries can start to map impacted populations and quantify risk and damage to their assets. They can monitor food supplies, respond to disasters, and advocate for climate finance. That is why the UAE Space Agency, in partnership with Planet, is building a loss and damage atlas, an early warning system for the world's most climate-vulnerable countries. We've already started this ambitious atlas with a pilot for a select small island state that is at the forefront of climate change impacts. This first recipient country will receive access to critical data and be empowered to take part in building the solution. UAE local industry, startups, and universities are currently engaged in building demonstrable solutions for COP28, working hand in hand to address the challenges ahead. This is just the beginning. This act of data diplomacy is critical to our future, and with it, the UAE is looking to further drive the global journey towards sustainability.
Okay, so for those who don't know Planet, we have about 200 satellites in orbit, and as the Earth revolves, rotates, the satellites are going around the Earth like a line scanner and taking images of the Earth every single day at a 3 to 4 meter resolution. So what this really means is that we have a stack of data that has been collected over a period of the last 6 to 7 years, and we also have 20 other satellites that actually zoom in to areas that you want to see deeper to create bigger predictive models of where we can go as planet Earth. And so what that really means is that for every place on the Earth, we have on an average 2,000 or 3,000 images right now of a place. So ultimately, we built this model where we took these daily quantifiable data that we collected of every place of the Earth to measure who was the emitter, whereas who was suffering in terms of climate change, and we built this mobilized funding model where countries were able to understand their changes. So I wanted to talk a little bit more about this pyramid that we're working towards. Ultimately, humanity is going towards understanding all of these indicators and insights on the top. We're only coming from the sensor data portion of it. We're taking it one level higher to analyze and build analysis-ready data, and we're building on a global scale some of the most or latest planetary variables that you can calculate, biomass proxy, et cetera, and you build this entire landscape of understanding, population data in different places in the world, carbon sequestration, et cetera. If you have any questions, or if you have any ideas of what you would like to do with such a data source that exists. Yes?
1 minute.
Yeah. I'm done.
Oh, you're done? Great. Well,
Thank you.
Questions on the crest of planet.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, I'm also a COP regular going with the Swedish government delegation. So I run a carbon accounting firm.
Yes.
And would love to know if your data is available through APIs.
Of course. It's available through... I'm actually working on an Africa-based project on measuring natural capital all across Africa. So, yeah.
Okay, that's super cool.
We should... Yeah, actually, I was thinking...
Is, do you work with Al Gore's Climate Trace project?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
We're totally integrated.
Okay.
We're
Makes sense.
totally integrated. Yeah. We should talk more. I actually saw your talk and... Yeah. Oh, Tony.
What are some of your favorite ecosystem health indicators that you're putting together as part of your, I guess, next layer of sort of knowledge on top of the underlying data?
So my favorite is actually a health metrics. So understanding global health based on, no one would think, okay, satellite data, how many heart attacks that happen in a certain region in the world, And those are the stacks. And someone's built, it's the Institute of Health Metrics in Washington is building out this global burden of disease using some of our satellite data imagery. And so that's it's so crazy for me to even think. The other thing I really love, it's very simple. It's super simple, actually, is to understand how many trees do we have on planet Earth, and the University of Copenhagen has built a whole data layer of, looking at entire continents, and they can 95% accuracy say where the trees larger than 2 meter radius are. So, that's crazy, Yeah.
Thank you, Athiye.